Here we go. Let's just get everything up. Make sure everything is copacetic. And make sure the internet has given us another day to exist. That's how we roll here. Lucy's excited. That's good. All right, let's just make sure. Yes, it is up. It is up. Beautiful. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Whatever's going on where you're at, I hope it's awesome. I hope you're staying safe. I hope all your dreams have come true. It's Tuesday in this crazy quarantined year of our Lord. It is Tuesday, June 9th, 2020. We're getting through another day. First of all, quick shout out to everyone that makes this show possible. ZTE.com, ZHITEA.com. You can get their tea wholesale, which is a great thing to do. I've been drinking a lot of tea, especially during the pandemic. Hot liquids aren't a bad thing. It's a good, soothing thing. And ZT.com, they make an amazing tea. Their teas are awesome. And Jeffrey, the guy that runs it, big friend of the show. Also, shout out to everyone at Trendy as Dabbers. And thank you very much, Trendy, for the recent care package. I really appreciated all the CBD pain oil. They make CBD pain oil that, again, has worked wonders for my neck. The last time my neck felt this great is before my car accident. Honestly, like I'm not like had a car accident in 2013. Neck will never be the same. Their pain oil, best thing for it. And I just got a care package from them. Thank you so much for that. And I appreciated the guitar picks. That was a very nice touch. And I appreciated everything else as well. Wink, wink. And by the way, special shout out to Mark for sending me the Mike Ravel book. Thank you very much for that. I'm already reading it, and I've been enjoying it. So I'll say more about it once I'm finished with it. But thank you very much for the Mike Ravel book. And finally, the Civvy app, CIVVY app.com. It's a new app that compartmentalizes civics in your life and kind of goes through the issues and how that affects you, the citizen. It also will tell you which candidates and nominees are most aligned with your political values, and they hope to be a hub for online independent news and media. So check out the Civvy app. It's a cool new project, cool new app that's out there, CIVVY app.com. And without further ado, we got an amazing guest today, one of my favorite comedians and his special, America. I love the title of his special so much. America is the greatest country in the United States. Please welcome the world champ himself, Mr. Judah Friedlander. Judah, how are you?
Being a winner, Ron. The country's perfect. No problems at all. Things are going great. It's a proud day to be an American.
Yes. Yes.
Hundreds of years of imperialism, foreign and domestic. Stand proud, everybody.
One time.
It's actually, it's an interesting time, and since the shutdown, things have really, they've ebbed and flowed in incredibly interesting ways. It's been a mix of absolute terror of the disease. It's been terror of our government's response to the disease. It's been terrorizing how certain politicians have dishonestly, called the disease not even real, and economically, because our government isn't doing enough to take care of the people here, it's terrifying. But the past couple of weeks, seeing, the sustained protests that are going on during an historic disease pandemic is so impressive and so inspiring. It actually gives you a little bit of hope, and you see these politicians actually all of a sudden starting to say, oh, we have some legislation for to change the police situation. It's like, oh, really? I wonder why you didn't bring that up before. I wonder what could have happened. So it's just, and it's, it's just so interesting how so many people, they think democracy is once every 4 years you vote and then you get a little sticker and you show that sticker to your friends and then that you voted and that's it. It's all you got to do. And I think if you look throughout history, democracy and human rights is something that's pretty much never happened. And governments, for whatever reasons, are they're designed to oppress people, and that's what they do. I mean, we used to have kings and queens and slaves everywhere, always. That's kind of how it was. So
yeah. Now we just have dynasty families.
Right, exactly.
So we switched out for.
So you can make the argument that not much has changed. I mean, obviously, it's not everywhere in the world, but in a fair amount of places in the world, it's better than that. But it's not that great, So
yeah, I mean, but you bring up the protest, and that is sort of a reason for optimism, because I mean, yeah, I was just talking with a friend the other day, and I'm like, look, this has been numerically the biggest mass protests in the history of the United States, and it's during a pandemic.
Yeah,
it's while a pandemic is going on.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it you mentioned like, oh, people just show up and they vote for years. I think the other big lesson people need to take away here is just where you really actually have a say and where you really actually have a little bit of power is locally. I mean, look at what's happening in Minneapolis right now because people kept showing up.
I mean, I saw that on video, the mayor just getting booed out and doing that long walk of shame. I mean,
I want that woman to run against him. That's what I want.
I mean, if you saw that in a movie, you'd be like, they're overdoing it. It wouldn't be that bad, I mean, that was unbelievable. It was incredible. I mean, even though I disagree with that mayor, I feel a little bad for the guy because it was so humiliating, just on a humanity level. That was just like, how does he go on? What does he do right after that? It's like I want to know.
Probably lose
what he did right after that. What was he doing? What was his thought process? It was just wow.
I'd imagine he took off those man-prees and had a stiff drink. That's what I'd imagine he did.
Took off the what?
Took off the man-prees and had a stiff drink.
Oh, I don't even know what that is. What is that?
Those are. Do people still say that? It's like they're like.
I don't even know what the word is, so I don't know.
They're like, well, capris, those pants that are like they're cut off.
Oh, I didn't notice really what he was.
That's what. Yeah, I think he had on man-prees, which I used to wear them. I think that's and I would call them man-prees. Like I'm like, yeah, I'm wearing my man-prees.
Right. Okay.
So I didn't know
what you meant there. Yeah.
I haven't seen him in a long time. That's why I was like, oh, dude, he's sporting man-prees and he's dancing, and. Hey, he could have.
Oh, okay.
He could have even just sort of deflected a little bit and it's like, well, I'm going to see what city council says,
right?
And I'm going to wait. But he didn't do that. He's like
generic things, but they didn't let him. They were just like yes or no, yes or no.
Yeah.
And, but I tell you, he did, and this is even just from like a performer level. He did everything wrong. It's like when you do stand-up comedy. As a comedian, if you've been doing it long enough, when the setup of a venue and a gig is just not going to work. Like sometimes you're at a place where, you might do a show that's, at a hotel banquet room, and in the same room, in another part of it, there's a wedding party going on. That's not part of the comedy show. And the microphone is bad. The acoustics are terrible. People can't hear you well. It's almost impossible to do well. So it's like, so he had like a shitty microphone that had almost no volume on it. He was like 10 foot below the person who was talking to him. So like every dynamic he had there, he was set to lose,
Mm-hmm.
and then that long walk, we had to walk through everybody. Oh my God.
They're just booing him.
Yeah. I remember one time years ago, I had to do a prom show. I had to do a stand-up show after the prom on a boat. So
I hear stories about these, and it's always from New York guys.
Yeah, the New York, I don't know if they still do it, but they used to do it a lot. This is like 25 some years ago. And so I remember I had to do the show. It was a terrible setup. The DJ hated all the students. He was screaming at them all the time. The students it was mostly a black high school, and the DJ was some white guy from Long Island, and he was mad because the students were dancing a lot, and the boat was down.
Wait, what? The DJ was mad because the students were dancing.
Yeah, because of the boat wavering, and I think the students dancing so much, and the shitty boat. It was a shitty boat they were on. His records were skipping, so he's worried about his record scratching. So he's blasting the music and screaming at them not to dance so much.
Stop having fun. I'm the DJ.
Yeah, exactly. And then all of a sudden he just stops the record. It's like, all right, it's comedy time. And the students, they didn't even know there was a comedy show that was going to be happening.
That's always a recipe for success.
It didn't go as bad as I thought it was going to go. It was not good, but it was not as bad as I thought it was going to go. For high school students who are horny and want to dance all night, and they were supposed to be on a fancy boat, they got stuck on a shitty boat with the DJ who's yelling at them. The show was actually pretty good, but nevertheless, that's not an easy situation. And then after the show, I just have to sit on the boat for fucking 2 hours. There's I do like a 15-minute set, and then I have nowhere to go.
You didn't sell merch,
and that reminded me of that the mayor of Minneapolis. It's like he says exactly what nobody there wants to hear, and then he has to walk a mile and a half slowly through everybody. It was hilarious.
So it would have been worse if he would have been stuck on a boat. That would have made it
right. That would have
even worse for him.
Do that for his rebuttal. He should come back for his rebuttal.
He would have just had to chill there.
Yeah, do a little boat cruise and invite everyone on, and then give the wrong answer again.
Give the wrong answer again, and then you just have to sit there in a corner, like, I'm not gonna change my mind. Not doing it.
I almost wonder if that video, if that's what did it. Was that the turning point with the city council where they're like, all right, we can't. It's like, how do you come back after that? It's like he got booed so hard by so many people. It's like they had to be like, yeah, we're gonna.
Maybe, yeah, dude. Especially if I don't know, all the ins and outs of politics in Minneapolis, but maybe someone on that council is planning to run against him.
Oh, that could be. Oh,
and they were like, yep, I'm a yes on this. I think it's a good idea.
Oh, you're right. The co-opting of it. You're right. Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
I mean, I don't know. It's
politics. I usually don't. I don't even think about, and that's why I would never go into it, because it's like all those games and shit. It's like I fight for human rights, but when it comes to who said this to get that point, God, that stuff's ugly. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's totally ugly, man. I mean, on a local level, it's usually not quite as ridiculous, but it's still there, and it's still like most local politics are like real estate people and stuff like that.
Really? Oh wow.
In a lot of cases, but still, like when you show up to a city hall, and when you show up and you protest, and when you boo the mayor out of a protest,
oh man,
that has some power where they're going to be like, okay, we kind of want to make.
I have a question. Happy. Did you say he was dancing with everyone at some point?
Yeah, he was dancing with everyone.
That must have been earlier.
I think so. Yeah, like there's a video of him dancing.
I wonder if he thought it's like, all right, people are digging me, and like maybe went in too cocky to that.
They're gonna let me see. I will say, like, if I was a mayor and I was in his shoes, I would have requested, like, when I answer that question, can I explain myself?
Right.
I would have been like, can I give you, because otherwise this footage is going to be, used against me somehow. Because
sure.
My answer would have been yes. My answer would have been like, my answer to your question is yes, but let me explain what that means, because people are going to try to use this against me. Right. And I think they would have met him. I think they would have been okay with that.
Interesting. Yeah, that video was unbelievable.
I still hope she runs. I still hope she runs against him.
Could be.
That's who I'm. A couple people are going to write her in at least. But well, I got to ask you this, man, before we get into some more news of the day, because you are, whenever I want to try to do comedy in another part of the world, you're one of the first people that I will call, and you've always been very generous with sharing information and sharing your thoughts. So thank you for that. Yeah. But you tour all over the world, man. So I try. It's
initially when I started performing in other countries, initially I was like, oh, I want to learn about these other countries. And what I realized was, I remember it was about, I don't know, 10 or so years ago, I was doing shows in the UK. And what I realized was, oh, I'm actually learning more about my own country. Because, it's kind of like, if let's say you're in a relationship with someone and it's a bad relationship, but you're so in love with that person, you don't see it. They're treating you like shit all the time. All your friends are like, what are you doing with that person? They're bad for you. And you're like, no, they're great. I love them. They're great. And then like a couple years go by, you're now out of that relationship. You can look back on it and be like, wow, I was duped. I was getting not treated well. So it's kind of like when you're right in something, it can be hard to see the dynamic. But when you go away to another place, you can kind of look at it from a distance and you can have some perspective on it. That's so whenever I go overseas to perform, I always learn stuff about those countries and as a result my own country. So it's I always find it very interesting. Like I was in Romania a couple of years. I did a show there, and I mean, you talk about like in general, so many people just having zero hope about their government. Hold on, that's Romania calling now.
Yeah, man, they got a complaint.
I'll let that go. Sorry about that.
No worries.
No, but all right, sorry. So it's like because they've been screwed over by every party that they have. So it's like, and that's like one of the dynamics here. I think we've talked about it before in this country, where there's still so many people who view, our two main parties as good guys and bad guys, and it's like, and what's interesting today is I've seen a fair amount of people criticizing Pelosi and Schumer for wearing the, I don't even know what the name of it is. I believe it's it was a traditional kente, I believe it's called. And so they were wearing that, and people like the same people, and some of these people are black people who would always praise Pelosi for doing her clap or her ripping stuff up, were shitting on her for this. And it's like, I wonder if they're going to start making the connection.
Yeah.
Because but literally for 4 years, they've been like yes queen on Pelosi for everything she does. And then I've noticed today a lot of people shitting on her who are the same people who have been applauding her for 4 years. So I'm like, I wonder if they're ever going to start putting it together that, it's not good guys and bad guys. It's bad guys and another set of bad guys.
Right. Right. More subtle bad guys. I mean, it's just, and that's the thing, man.
I don't think they're as bad. I think they're in some ways more annoying and a little less honest. I mean, the Republicans are so bad, but even though they lie all the time, I think there's an honesty to it because
they make it clear they don't care about you.
Right.
They're like we don't care. Go die. Democrats are like, we care, we swear, but we really don't.
Clear on their racism and sexism and xenophobia too, for the most part, where the Democrats are just, what is it? Is it constant gaslighting? I mean, it seems like so
they're like the person that pretends they're your best friend, but they'll sell you out first chance they get.
Yeah.
So it's like
earlier, the Republicans are like the cheerleaders and the quarterbacks from high school, and the Democrats are like the yearbook committee people.
I like that.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
You know what I mean? It's like, all right, you both want to fucking control shit and be popular, and the yearbook committee can't do it by just forming their own little oligarchy and treating everyone like shit in the school, like the popular kids. But they'll get that yearbook where they can fucking put it all in there and decide who's popular and shit.
Yeah. And they'll still blow you off. They'll still be like, they'll be signing your yearbook like, oh my God, we're gonna hang out so much this summer because we're besties. And it's like, you've ignored me for 4 years and we're for sure never hanging out. Why are you saying this right now?
Right. So I don't know. That was one analogy I was thinking of recently. But no, I give so much credit to the mostly young people out there who are going out there in a disease pandemic, and they do believe in science. They're not like the open things up protesters
right
a month ago who don't believe in science. The kids out there protesting, they believe in science, and they're still fucking doing it, which is impressive.
Yeah. Social distancing the best you can, although it's not really much of an option, especially if you were in New York or LA recently. But
and I normally go to protests a lot. Now I'm not going to these because I'm 75 years old and I got to be safe. But if I wasn't a 75-year-old man, I'd be doing it. But got to do it first.
Speaking of 75-year-olds, dude, I usually do not ever pay attention to what Trump tweets. But this morning was an exception.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Have you seen this?
I mean, I did read that one this morning, and there's got to be a point where here's the thing I don't understand about whoever you vote for. In this particular case, we're talking about Republican people who are still pro-Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of it is obviously there's a lot of just evil, fucking awful people. And then some of it is people just not wanting to admit they were wrong about something. I mean, there were so many people who said Trump didn't even want to be president when he was running. He was just doing it for publicity. And then they were saying, nothing's going to change. Nothing will be different at all in society. Right. So anyways, but, it's almost like when, let's say you're a fan of your city's football team. If they lose every game, at some point, if you're a fan, you're going to start shitting on the coach and saying this coach sucks, even though you always supported that team and still support the team. But when it comes to presidents, it seems like so many people, no matter who it is, they have this, they make these people an icon, and they just it's cult-like behavior.
Whether they feel like they're blaming everyone else too,
or whoever, it happens. I've seen it in all political persuasions, and it's like, dude, it's okay to admit that the person's not as good as you thought they were going to be. Because this one is, accusing that guy of being Antifa is, and faking the whole thing. I mean, that's so stupid. I don't know how you even. I mean, I like conspiracy theories, I mean, obviously I think a lot of them are full of shit, but in general, the concept of putting all these things together, whether they're true or false, I find that interesting, but this one is so far-fetched. I mean, who's going to buy? Are people buying this one? I mean, what are people thinking?
Well, I guess some people are, because some people tweeted about this before he did. But it's they're so for anyone not in the know, they're saying that President Trump tweeted today that Buffalo protester shoved by police could be an Antifa provocateur. 75-year-old Martin Gugino was pushed away after appearing to scam police communications in order to black out the equipment. I watched. He fell harder than was pushed, was aiming scanner. Could this be a setup? He's a 75-year-old peace activist in Buffalo. Yeah. He had a helmet in his hand, so it looked like he was actually going to hand a police officer back their equipment, and he had his phone in his hand, and he got shoved over, and they cracked his skull.
Yeah, I mean,
he's 75 years old.
Hitting the concrete.
You hear it.
Yeah, you hear it, you see it, and then you see him going unconscious, and the phone just falling out of his hand as he goes limp. I mean, it's horrendous. And I guess he was just acting the whole thing. Yeah, that's
like, well, on what planet do they think there's protesters out there who are going, we need to stage something because otherwise there's no way we're going to get any footage of police brutalizing peaceful protesters.
Yeah.
They never do that.
I was like, he was just ready to volunteer to
well, here, so I got the video, so we can
you could show it. I'm not even gonna watch it. I've seen this so much.
No, I understand, man. Cool. But for anyone not in the know, so here you go. You hear that crack?
Oof.
He has a helmet in his hand, So there, we don't need to listen to it again. It is hard, but yeah, he has a helmet in his hand. It looks like he's trying to hand it off. They just shove him.
Yeah.
And they just shove him because they're just like, you're in my way. Like who does that to another human being?
Well,
Who approaches you to hand you something?
There's so many cops who they're always looking for an opportunity to get violent.
Yeah.
And if you approach one, if you touch one, and this guy, they can argue, oh, he was reaching for my hand or whatever, then it's like all hands on deck. They're legally, they can just beat the shit out of anyone they want or kill anyone they want. That's how they view things. It's disgusting and wrong and violent, but that's that's how so many cops view that way. They view everyone. So many cops view, anyone who's not a cop as the enemy. Period. Yeah. No matter what race you are, and the less of a clean-cut white guy you are, and money white guy you are, the less they're going to like you. I mean, that's just the way it is, unfortunately.
So, what's your take on just everything that's been going on specifically in New York? Because, I'm here in LA, so I don't see New York as firsthand. But, the one thing, I mean, there aren't really, the silver lining is the hope that the protesters, give society. But also, I am kind of happy to see Cuomo's 15 minutes of fame go away and people calling him out for what he actually is.
It's so weird to see Cuomo go from being God to like almost the devil. It's like, I don't know. I didn't see that one coming. I mean, it was just it's pretty wild. So I'm actually not in New York right now. My birthday was the day of the shutdown in New York. I always go home to my parents in Maryland for my birthday. So I visit my parents in Maryland. It's about a 5-hour drive from New York.
Yeah.
I visit them about once a month as it is. And my birthday was the day of the shutdown in New York. So I've just been here since. And I'm going to get back to New York at some point. I don't own a car. If I had a car, I'd be going back here and there to check on my place, but it's, having to rent a car and get up there, and I don't want to do the trains yet. Normally I just do the trains, but I don't, I don't know if that's the wisest move with the air on that train. And I don't know how crowded or not crowded it would be, but, I'm in touch with, a lot of my friends in New York, and, the comedy clubs are quite worried because many of them don't know if they'll be in business. And that's the country. Again, our government is not taking care of people enough.
No. And this is something that I'm sure you have some takes on too, because so many people throughout the world, especially in show business, other places, they're actually taking care of small businesses, not just using it as a dog whistle for corporations to get more money. So they're kind of just putting things on hold, and then we'll get back to it when the world reopens. That's what they're doing in England. So there's not this concern that, I mean, that is a valid thing, in our business. Like, it might not look the same. And it's also like, I mean, dude, I walk around my neighborhood and I'm just like, what if everything here is a Starbucks next year?
Yeah, or nothing. Yeah.
Or nothing.
Yeah. Or one Starbucks a block and nothing else. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's the grocery store and the hardware store, and that's it. Yeah. So it's interesting. I was talking to a friend of mine, a comic from Copenhagen. Copenhagen's like the UK and Scandinavia and the Netherlands have had stand-up comedy for quite a while. The rest of Europe, it's really quite new. So anyways, there's a comedy club in Copenhagen. It's a great club called the Comedy Zoo. It's one of the best comedy clubs anywhere. It looks like you walk in there and you just can't wait to perform there. It's like, it's such a
so cool
room. And so anyways, the comedy club there was owned by somebody. He was going to just close it a couple years ago. And then about 5 comics got together and bought it from him. So since the shutdown, I asked him about, how did you guys, were you taken care of and stuff? Now, they did not get rent. They were still working on getting some kind of rent relief from the government, and that hadn't been figured out yet. So that was bad. However, with their landlord agreed to a 75% reduction of their rent. So they only had to pay 25% of what they normally do. That's good. But that they worked out on an individual thing. Now, government-wise, if they didn't fire any of their staff, the government would pay their staff 75% of their salary. So, and that's immediately. And that's not 100%, but it's still pretty fucking good. You can probably still get by on 75%,
Yeah.
And as a comic, since he was out of work as a comic, I asked him what he got, and he did get relief from the government. And I think it was around what he would regularly be making as a comic, which was somewhere around $3,000 a month or something like that. So he was getting that. So it's like, that just seems like the normal thing. The government's like, hey, for safety, we have to close all the businesses. So we're still going to fucking pay you. So you don't have to worry, and then we can actually lock down and fucking stop the disease. And then when we've stopped it, we can gradually go back. And here they were just like pretty much, no, they did some, the PUA of $600 a week, if you're able to get it, was actually pretty decent. But so many people still haven't been able to get it or have had trouble getting it because of, but basically, a lot of the states just start reopening, and I'm someone who's living in Hong Kong, and I think they've had their plan. I haven't checked up on them in a few weeks, but their plan was to have 28 days straight of 0 new cases locally transmitted. And they were already at 2 or 3 weeks in a row of 0 in all of Hong Kong, and then they were like, okay, and then we'll start opening up. Here in this country, there's still 1,000 people dying a day, and they're like, open it up. So
you gotta work. You gotta work.
It's like basically the motto of America now is you have to die to live. I mean, that's basically it.
It's a capitalism death cult, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. It is a capitalism death cult. And
who's the guy who used that term, the human stock capital or human capital stock? I forget what it was.
I don't know.
This human capital stock, which was just like, it was some guy in one of the Sunday morning shows. I think it was like a week or 2 ago.
Okay.
The workers as human capital stock. And it was
my God.
Viewing people as just a number, doesn't matter. There's a certain number you can just completely sacrifice. It's like, and I don't even know if he realized he revealed himself that way, but he did. I wish I remembered who it was. But
they make all those subtle revelations constantly in the media, and it's just like when you take a step back, it's just so gross. Like when Wolf Blitzer was like, "Well, if we stop the wars, that would hurt jobs, right?" It's like, you realize what you just said? And they do stuff like that all the time, and it's on steroids right now.
Yeah,
because of the pandemic, because they're like, well, how's the stock market going to respond to this? And it's like, we're in a pandemic.
Yeah, and what's interesting is I think all these protests that are going on, if it wasn't for the shutdown and the pandemic, I don't think you would have these sustained protests. I mean, I've been to Black Lives Matter protests before, 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago, several times. And, it was a good turnout in New York, but it wasn't anything sustained. It wasn't 2 weeks in a row, every day and every night. And not even just the big cities. In small suburban towns, people are marching, which is incredible.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't, people have been out of work for more than 2 months. You look at the kids who are graduating high school and college, or who knows what they have in store for them. The government's giving them nothing, and the colleges, so many of them are going online, and I think a lot of them are still charging the same fees, which are overpriced by 1,000 or more % to begin with. So they got nothing to lose. It's like, and I don't know. I think people are finally starting to realize, that there's no good guys and bad guys in elected office. It's mostly bad guys, different various levels of in different ways.
Various levels, different types of bad guys.
I remember reading a Cornell West book 10 years ago. And he was talking about, you can't expect the government to do stuff for you. You have to force them to do it. And everyone coming together is the only way to do that,
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like, and that's why, I mean, the biggest thing I am a stand for is general strike. I'm like, we need a general strike. We need a general strike yesterday. That's my 2020 endorsement, general strike. We got to strike.
Yeah, I mean, April 15th, tax day, that should have been a given right there, and a national rent strike.
How
have we not had just that alone, a national rent strike, the next first of the month, July 1st, rent strike nationwide. That I would love to see the politicians' speeches after that one.
Yeah, because when you take a step back and you look at what the United States did, I mean, we're talking about these other countries where it's just like, okay, we're going to pay up to 80% of your wages or 75% of your wages. We're going to take care of these businesses so they don't have to close. In the United States, we basically just said, hey, banks, here's more money because you want it. Yeah. Are you going to take care of people? Yeah, no. Okay, we're going to go on vacation anyway. That's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, that first bill, you're totally right. Their first thing was to give billionaires money, and then go on vacation for 3 weeks during a historic pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely.
I will give a little bit of credit because the $600 a week, like I said, if you can get it, not that bad. That's I have to give them credit for that. But in New York, I have friends who. They'd be calling every day for hours, could not get through, couldn't get through. They're supposed to be doing back pay, and hopefully that'll happen. But it took well over a month for people to be able to actually get through.
And the true solution is you need an emergency UBI in a situation like this. I mean, that's what you need, and they won't even utter it unless they're just trying to placate on Twitter.
And I will say to people, if they are applying for that stuff, do it. If you have a bank account, do it so you get direct deposit. You'll get that shit faster than if you get checks mailed to you. So definitely go that way. But I think some people in some other states, they haven't been able to get it at all. They just, because it's
that's the problem.
You have to apply for that unemployment and PUA through, I believe, always your state government. And some states, it's pretty much impossible to get,
Yeah, and you have to go through different hoops, and at different times, it's different people are eligible. Like if you're self-employed, you weren't eligible until a certain time, and
now you are. Now you
are.
Right.
Yeah,
I was talking to somebody in Montreal, and I think it was like easy. They called, and they got through easily, and then 3 days later, they had the money. I think it was
the first deposit. It's like $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I've seen stuff like that too.
I hope people are starting to realize that the only reason so much of the government cares about you is so that they can trick you and abuse you. That's why they care about you. It's not that they don't care about you. They need you. They need you to believe that they need you to believe that they think that they care about you. If they know as a voter that you love them and you care about them, they need that.
Well, and they need that belief that there's good guys and bad guys.
Right, exactly.
They need that belief too, that it's just like, well, you're the good guy. You're gonna, and then meanwhile, it's like you look at, even that plan that the Democrats put forth to handle police brutality. I
haven't even read it yet. What did they say?
It's pretty weak, man. I mean, it basically consists of like, oh, well, there's going to be. There's going to be better training, and there's going to be this, and there's going to be reform. Which
as soon as they get that better training, I think it's going to. I mean, better training. What was Chuck Schumer's slogan like about a year ago?
A better deal.
Yeah, a better
deal. that was their thing.
That was what they came up with. That was like the other thing that's great about that one is they just admitted their previous deal was shitty. They when they called this one a better deal.
We're gonna try to do a little better. We're gonna
Yeah.
try to do a little bit better.
Yeah, we realized that one was kind of shitty, so we're gonna give you a better deal.
This is gonna be better than
a better deal.
Yeah. What are you offering us? Well, over there's like neo-fascists and actual Nazis and shit. I think we're better than that. Maybe I think it's better. I'm pretty sure.
You don't want to fight Nazis. You want to compromise and work with them because
that's what we do.
They're all their good friends. Remember?
It's remarkable.
I was thinking how the Democrats and the Republicans, because there's some areas where they absolutely work together, and they're best friends. They like they're mortal enemies. But one of the reasons is the two-party system. When they act like they both hate each other, that actually keeps them both in business.
Yes.
Because whenever the Republicans are in power and shit ain't going well, and their voters maybe start realizing, hey, these guys that I voted for are actually doing a shitty job, they can just blame it on the Democrats. And, the Democrats can be their foil. You see, things didn't do bad because the Democrats. And then the Democrats can do the same thing. So then you're never having people looking at the real issues and why things are bad. You're always putting the blame somewhere, whether it's legitimate blame or illegitimate blame. And that way the two of them are always there.
Yeah. Well, and the gravy train keeps rolling for both of them.
Yeah.
The donor money and it's like, and that's why neither party is in favor of something like ranked choice voting. Neither party really wants to do anything about the electoral
maybe what America needs is just greater diversity of billionaires. Maybe that's what we need.
I didn't think of that. That's a good one, though.
Maybe I'll try that as a new bit. Just some, we need some more black billionaires, some more trans billionaires, and then America's going to work out,
Well,
and more, diversity in our war generals. I think, then we can really give diversity everywhere. A joke of yours that I love a bunch is actually about to become a reality. You have that joke where you say there should be no billionaires. Oh yeah. I know.
Yeah.
It's become a reality.
Yeah.
I do this bit.
I don't want to recite it because you're right here.
Well, no. But yeah, it's on my Instagram. If you scroll back, I think a few weeks. I recorded that I think just a couple days before the shutdown. It's the clip I put up. I was doing it a little before then, but the clip I put up was the week of or the week before the shutdown. About should billionaires exist? Yeah.
I
won't now, but you can watch it on my Instagram or whatever.
Right, but it's on its way to becoming a reality.
Yes,
because that's Jeff Bezos on his way, trillion.
Yeah, crazy.
It's like
that's crazy.
So where can people?
Is he a trillionaire yet or no?
He's on his way. They're saying the last estimate I saw was 2026.
I hope it gets there by Christmas. I hope it happens Christmas Day, and then America can celebrate. We got to the moon before anyone else. We'll get a trillionaire before anyone else. Jesus would be so happy.
It's like an early gift for all of us, really.
Jesus would just be so happy if Jeff Bezos became a millionaire on Christmas.
He loved the rich. That was his thing.
Yeah, he was really all about. You're right. Yeah, he was really about the rich and yeah.
That was
he's a modern day Jesus, basically. Maybe that's what we should do. Only the president should just be the richest person. Who's ever the richest person gets to be
president
because they're the smartest. They did it.
They did it. They're the smartest. Clearly, they understand other people because they have more money than everyone else. So you get it,
and they know how to run this country like a business.
Yes, that's what we need.
That's what it's about. It's about just making a profit. It's not about taking care of people. It's about, that argument, he knows how to run this country like a business because he's a businessman. That's one of the stupidest like a business person, their only goal is making money.
Right.
Make money by taking advantage of people. So that's like, if you think about it, that is the dumbest slogan ever for a strategy for running for president.
Oh,
but
big time.
People don't think that. They just think, oh, money is success. They don't think that it's abuse, you know.
People are conditioned like, well, what's the budget look like? Well, who cares? What do you mean? What does it look like? How does that affect your life?
Ron, how are we going to pay for that?
How are we going to pay for it?
How are we going to pay for that? That's another one of the best gaslighting slogans of all time in this country. How are we going to pay for that? And you know, and both parties do that.
They both do it. And you know what? I haven't seen many people in the corporate media, especially, where there's the National Guard terrorizing American citizens and putting us under actual martial law and a barricade up at the White House. I haven't seen anyone in the media going, how are we going to afford this?
I know.
Who's paying for this for the president right now? No one's saying that.
No. I guess it's all because that stock market's doing so great. You know?
Right. Yeah. It's
in drones, everybody. Kevlar chest plates, tear gas, and drones. Just invest in that, and you're going to get rich. You know, that's how we do it.
So I got to end on something a little bit lighter, man, because I've always wanted to ask you this. Where's your favorite place to perform?
Ooh, I don't really have a favorite place.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't have a favorite place. There's a lot of, you know, good venues. I generally like a diverse audience, and I like an audience that, no matter what their political persuasion is, I like them to be open-minded and have a sense of humor, because that's something that some people forget about. There are some people who might have great politics and great morals, but, you know, some people actually don't. They have an inability to see or recognize sarcasm or satire. They actually can't, you know. And so as long as someone's open-minded and actually has a sense of humor, that's probably the two most important things. And I do love diversity in a crowd, and that's why sometimes, like, the Comedy Cellar is so good, and that's a great venue. I mean, the venue period is great. It's a little chaotic, but I like a little chaos. So,
and that's where was it all your special or most of it that was at the Comedy Cellar?
That was filmed. There was actually about, I think, maybe 10 seconds filmed at a different venue.
Okay.
And the Comedy Cellar has 3 rooms, and I filmed it at all 3 of the rooms. It's a mix of all 3 of the rooms, and it was filmed over multiple nights and months. It was basically there's no interviews. It's just clips of stand-up performance. But I did it completely. I did it completely independently. I had no deal in place with Netflix or with anyone else. I self-financed, directed, produced it, oversaw all the editing, designed all where the cameras should be.
Yeah, man, I remember when you were editing that thing.
Yeah. So when I made it, at the beginning of it, it says, in one of the credits, it says, a film by Judah Friedlander. And at the time when I shopped it around, after a long time of months, Netflix finally was interested. And then one of their only notes was, it can't say a film by Judah Friedlander at the beginning. And I was like, well, why not? It is a film, and I made it, and that's my name. So
I'm in it too. I don't know if you watched, but I'm in that thing.
It all makes sense. There's nothing non-factual there. So they said it has to say a Netflix comedy original, and they would not budge on that. So, and I'm like, I just want people to see this shit. So I drew a new title card, filmed that, and literally just slid out the other one and then slid that one in. Mm-hmm. And that's the only change I made. Yeah, and I also remember originally it's about 85 minutes, and they wanted it to be 50 to 60. and I just spent months editing this thing, and it's intricately edited so that everything, has a real flow and thematically and everything. And they just wanted me to just obliterate, almost half of it. And I'm like, that's just to say that means you've no fucking idea about art or anything, So, so eventually they were just like, yeah, it's fine. Just, the length. But so I made it independently. I licensed it to them. I have probably over 2-3 hours of new material since that came out. I haven't released any of it yet. I've released a few clips here and there, but not as a movie or a special or as an album. I will be doing that later this year. And I'm doing a lot of I don't know where I'm going to release it. I'm going to make it independently again, and then I'll see if anyone's interested. And then if they're not, I'll self-release it somewhere. And then I'm doing a lot of stand-up shows on Zoom now, and those have been going great. I've actually really been enjoying it. I've been doing those the past few weeks. So,
I've done some of those too. It's not quite the same, but it's better than nothing. Like a lot of the comics that put it down, it's like, dude, it's the best we got right now, and it's definitely better than not performing.
Yeah. And it's there's two tricky things with it. There's a slight delay.
Yep.
So, even when we're talking now, there might be a very slight delay. It's not much, but it's maybe very slight. So there's a slight delay. And the other thing that's tricky about Zoom is it's designed so that you can only hear one person talking at a time. So if you do your joke and then the audience watching laughs, their laughs, if they're laughing and you start talking, they're going to cut you out.
Right.
But when you're performing, you don't realize that, so they miss some of what you're saying. So it's a little tricky, but it still works. And I found, at least for my taste, the best shows are where the audiences, you can see and hear the audience.
Right.
Because there are some shows where they mute all the audience. And I'm like, well, what's the point of that? So
the way we do it, like Graham and I have been doing a lot of those. The way we do it is we kind of ask the audience, we treat it like a real show where it's like, typically at a stand-up show, you kind of make some announcements up top and you kind of tell people what they're in for in case it might be their first comedy show. We do that, except we kind of cater it for Zoom. And what we ask is we're like, if half of you, kind of monitor yourself. And if everybody's unmuted, we're going to hear air conditioners. We're going to hear dogs barking. It's going to get too much. But if all you are muted, well, we can't hear your laughter. We can't hear any feedback. It doesn't feel like a show. So, kind of police yourself. Every so often, mute yourself. Every so often, unmute yourself. If something really gets you, you want to laugh. Hey, it'd be great if you were unmuted. If you need to fart or something, mute yourself. Like you just.
I have a question. That's smart. Do you have someone else running the tech, or do you guys do it?
Thus far, we've just done it ourselves because we've just done stuff completely independent. I mean, we've had some local clubs and stuff ask us to do stuff. But for us, it's like, we can, when we're doing our own thing, we can just make it like $5, gimmicks, and just kind of do our thing, send the link out.
No, that's good.
So we've just been doing our own thing.
And, I haven't run these shows yet myself, but I've done a fair amount of shows with different people. I don't know if you know Steve Hofstetter, comic and a promoter. His shows are run very well. And he's always been at the forefront of technology. So he's got an online comedy club called Nowhere Comedy Club.
I heard about this.
And
yeah.
They're doing like 1 to 3 shows a night, like 5 or 6 nights a week. And, it's like a regular comedy club. They're paying regular headliner comedy club money. So the way they do things is they kind of have a tutorial up front, and they do a couple technical things that they tell the audience to do, and then they do some on their end, and it makes a huge difference. And then they have someone separately running the tech in case, somebody's computer starts acting crazy and that audience member doesn't realize it, they'll mute them. Or in case some some psychopath scammer, a spammer comes in, they'll block them.
Right.
So, but it totally works. Even if you just you'd sell the audience up front. Hey, if you're in a quiet area, and even better if you're wearing headphones, and you're here to laugh, unmute yourself. If you know you're in an area where your kids are playing or the dog's barking or you're cooking dinner, mute yourself. And people, the audiences are starting to realize that too. So I think they're kind of getting more educated, and the are getting better.
Yeah, I mean, we were doing like a Saturday thing for a while, and we still do it. We're not doing it like every Saturday like we were, but we still do it. And it's we've had a couple, like one time my cat just like kicked out my camera and my microphone while I was in the middle of something. And then we had like one, for instance, where like the Zoom just kind of like froze up on me, and I was the host, and it didn't end. I was just like gone for a minute, but then I just got back in, and yeah, so we've, it's been, it's been a pretty cool thing, man. I initially got into it because my college agent emailed all of us and asked us to. Yeah, like they were like, we want to be able to promote virtual events. And this was like right when it happened, because so many campuses were like, we're done. So they're like, we want to promote virtual events. So if you can, please get a Zoom account, please learn how to use it. And because I have like this for the show and stuff, I was like, well, that's, I should be able to set that up pretty quickly.
Right.
So then we just started doing stand-up shows too. So
yeah, I'm still trying to work out technical stuff on my end, because like right now I'm just talking into the laptop. I bought a microphone and I bought a recorder that I can plug the mic into and then plug that in the computer. But I'm still trying to get the audio, play around, see what system works best. So I'm working on it. I just bought this beautiful background, so this was $10,000.
Does it say something, or is it just like taped together? Okay, I couldn't tell if that was like supposed to be. Beautiful.
About 30 boxes of cardboard together. And,
so where can people go to learn more about you?
Oh yeah, I'm a Judah World Champ, which is JUDAH World Champ on Twitter, Instagram. I'll be on some of these other new platforms too. Like I said, I'm old, so I'm out of the loop with online stuff, but I'm working on it. Website, judahfriedlander.com. And yeah, I'll be doing some long sets on Zoom. I did about an hour-long show on Saturday. That was great. And I will be putting out, some new albums and stuff soon. So yeah, but yeah, Judah World Champ, Twitter, Instagram.
Brilliant. So Christopher Walker says, great to see the world champ on, sending virtual free hugs to both of you. Keep up the good fight. Thank you so much, Christopher Walker. Thank you for the Super Chat contribution. Redneckonomics, check out that show. What's up, Redneckonomics? Pelosi and gang kneeling for George Floyd, pretending like they care is infuriating. If only they had the power to change things. Same ones that in 2016, the NC Lake said not to promise Black Lives Matters any concrete policy positions. That's true. They did do that. And Redneckonomic, thank you again. Everybody I know that's applied, talking about unemployment, myself included, have been waiting 2 or more months for unemployment, says Redneckonomics. Thank you so much, Christopher and Redneckonomics. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Judah, thanks for hopping on, man. Great to talk to you. Yep. And we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same channel. In the meantime, you know the drill. Lucy says meow. I say peace. Peace.